How you doing, Jose? Thanks for your time, brother.
Good, Sean. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, brother. I'll jump right into it. FightHype.com. Sean Zittel here with the former unified super lightweight champion of the world back in action March 25th at home against former lightweight champ Richard Commey. And Jose, we'll get right into it, man. Over the weekend, we saw some solid fights. One of the fighters fighting was Jarrett Hurd. And he was, like yourself, a former unified champion, but we seen him kind of get old before our eyes as a fighter, and that hasn't happened with you yet. But I ask you, how much longer can you sustain the kind of style, a come forward kind of warrior, sometimes taking one to land? How much longer are we gonna get, Jose Ramirez in his prime?
I think a long time, man. I think to be honest, if you look at my fights, I think it's more of the of the how people might narrate the fights, that persuade the fact that I take a lot of punishment. But besides the fight against Taylor, I have never been hurt. I never really taken in that much punishment. You know what I mean? I've taken a punch here and there, but I've always been very agile. I move a lot, So a lot of those punches are glazing over me. They're not landing solid. Sometimes, obviously, the excitement of when someone lands a punch, but it gets, people, they like to make it bigger than what it is sometimes, but I think the biggest thing that has happened with my career, I think that has made people maybe even, think where Jose Ramirez is at, is the fact that, since the pandemic, I haven't been very active, and that's what's probably hurt me the most, because in 2019 I was relentless, I would beat Cepeda. It was a close fight, but I felt like I finished strong on the championship rounds and winning those 2 rounds at the end, because it was a pretty even fight going in after the 10th. I finished strong, and I finished with that killer instinct, almost trying to stop Cepeda in the 12th round. Hooker, and then after Hooker, I was on top. I was on top of the world in the 140. People saw Jose Ramirez as the best 140. After that, the pandemic came in, obviously, but I think just me, I had to be back and showing a lot of activity so people could really see where I'm at, and even including myself. So I'm excited to get back in the ring, and I think I need to show that so I could really with actions kind of tell people where I'm at, rather than the speculations.
And speaking about how much a fighter has in the tank, and how much does Richard Commey have in the tank? We know he was, IBF champion at lightweight, but only one win in the last 4 fights, 1 draw, 2 loss, 1 win over Jackson Mariñez. How much does Commey have left in the tank, do you feel like?
I'm not sure. I don't take no fights lightly, I don't take no fights lightly, and I do know that, I seen his fight against Pedraza, and there was a lot of action. He threw a lot of punches, and Pedraza is not he moves a lot, and he's a experienced fighter, and he finds a way to make fights difficult, and Lomachenko at 135, we don't know where Richard Commey was mentally as far in a matter of making the 135 limit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So you can't I can't go based on those fights, because we're humans, man. There's days that we don't have the best of our performances, and then there's days that we're machines. So I'm just excited to get back in the ring, and I want to focus more on what I could show myself and what other people might bring to the table.
Yeah, it's easy for us to ask how much he has left, but it's different when that right hand he throws is in front of you. So yeah, I hear you. But go ahead, Jose. Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, that's the goal for me, is just to show that I'm on a different level for sure. I hope to make a statement with this fight.
Yeah, and that was my next question, is when it's a fight like this where you are the favorite considerably, are you thinking, and you never really predict stoppages, but are you thinking not just win, but dominate, maybe get the knockout. Is that what you're thinking heading into this fight?
Yeah, that's definitely my goal. That's for the fight not to go to the distance. That's my goal.
And recently in the division, we saw Subriel Matias win the IBF belt. But he is on Showtime, and then Alberto Cuello and Rolly will be fighting for the WBA on Showtime, and then Progris. That fight couldn't happen because your promoter can't work with his promoter. So does that mean the big target now is the winner of Teofimo and Josh Taylor?
That definitely is the big target for me because it's besides the fact that it's an in-house fight. It'll feel good to get back in that ring with Taylor. And get that revenge for sure. So definitely that's the fight. But man, who knows? Maybe Top Rank will work with PBC, and get some of the other guys too.
Right.
The goal is to stay active. That's for sure. That's the goal, is to stay active, and I think that's what I want to do. And I'll put aside all the other stuff. My goal is to really, after this fight, to really just go after them all. And I think against Matias will be a great fight. I think if I was to beat Matias, just because he's come forward and he takes a lot of punishment. When he keeps his hands like this, you know what I mean. He takes a lot of hits. So I'll be interested. I think those are the top fights that get me excited, because if I was to beat Matias in a fashion where people probably will be like, "Wow, I wasn't expecting Jose to beat him like that," then I'll make, even without no belts, or even if with just that one belt, all of a sudden it will make me the boogeyman of the division again. And
Puerto Rico versus Mexico. Well, Mexican American, that'd be a war.
That'd be a war. You know what I mean? So those fights definitely motivate me. The Regis Progress fight is to have, I'm only 30 years old, brother. So I don't know how much time he has left in the sport, but I do have. I'm just getting started. In this level of competition, and I'm here to stay. For a long time, and so that fight could definitely happen. If
Regis could still happen, is what you.
It could still happen for sure. Yeah, 100%. It could happen before I hit 33 years old, 32 years old. It could happen next year. Who knows?
Was that tough at all in the fallout of that fight to have to, go down the rankings a little bit from 1 to 6, and you're still in the top 5 with the other bodies, but was that tough? The fight couldn't happen. Now you're not fighting for the belt. And some fans have the perception Jose ducked Regis Pro. Like, what's that been like to go through for you as a proud fighter?
Yeah, man, always, it wasn't easy for sure. But you learn to live with knowing the truth, and the truth is that it was out of my hands, man. There was nothing to be made on that fight. There was, financially they had no interest to even work, to even work for the fight to get the biggest of its potential, right? And you sign with a promoter that doesn't have a network behind them, that doesn't have nothing behind them. They're just expecting for other promoters to send offers. And if I have a promoter who's publicly said they don't work with those guys for any of those reasons, then I'm just kind of left under the bus, and my goal is to be active. So I was in December. I told Top Rank I want to be back in the ring before March, and they've always worked so good with me, So we had March set, we had no opponent, there was some names out there, but Richard Commey came up, and he was out there during December, but nothing was confirmed, nothing was signed until almost towards the end of January. I think we signed to make it official. But that doesn't help when people speculate that Richard Commey was always in the books when it wasn't. The March 25th day was set for sure, and because I'm thankful that I'm with the promoter in a network that has those dates, in advance, and I don't have to be just like, you know, waiting last minute. Oh yeah, there's a date that opens up and stuff like that, or be that type of fighter that's a co-main event fighter, and the co-main event fighter just kind of has to wait for a main event fighter to fight. Then I fight in the card. You know what I mean? Like I'm a headliner, so I'm very blessed about that. And ESPN and Top Rank has really respected that, and they realize that value that I bring, to be the headliner. So it was my goal to be back in the ring as soon as possible this year, because the goal is to fight 3 times.
And I just wanted to get your thoughts back on Taylor and Theo. Who do you expect to win that fight? It sounds like you kind of want Taylor to win, so you get your chance at him again. But who do you think will win the fight?
Yeah, it's I haven't really focused on that. Focus on that fight. I think it's grabs. I think any of those two could win for sure. It wouldn't surprise me if Theo wins, and it wouldn't surprise me if Taylor wins. It's one of those things that I'll take the winner. That's it.
Let me just ask you this stylistically about the fight. Taylor's a tall guy, but is he a guy that doesn't make the best use of his height? He likes to get in there and fight. And can Teofimo kind of do what he's comfortable doing, having a guy come to him instead of someone like Sandor Martin, where he's going after him? And what are your thoughts on that, Jose?
Yeah, a lot of these young fighters, man, they could really counter punch, and they could, they have that style that they could really counter punch. So, and they got good timing. So Taylor's one of those guys that, yeah, you're right. He fights coming forward behind his shoulder, he picks up his shoulder a lot, and he doesn't really push his jab completely out. He's always right here. So yeah, man, that could definitely Teofimo could definitely take advantage of that. Get the proper shot. Get the proper shot, and I don't know where Taylor's at mentally too, because of everything that has happened with them.
Both fighters.
Yeah, but Teofimo has fought. I believe he fought twice last year or so, and he's fought. Sandor Martin is not. I seen him fight Mikey Garcia, and I didn't really think much of him. But he really She came to show a lot of skills against Teofimo Lopez, and yeah, you're right. Mentally, both are going through hard times, because a lot of people are counting Teofimo out as it's not there no more. He doesn't have it no more, and that could really weigh in if you let it. It could drain you mentally. And Taylor will, we all know what he's going through. With since that Catterall fight, and then now the fight was supposed to happen is not happening no more. He's getting all this negativity for him, and I don't wish nothing bad about any fighter, man. Like, I learned to just mind my own business, and it's not. I've been there. I've gotten negative comments, So my goal is to be a positive in the sport, and just to make people happy when I perform, man. Because when I perform, I always bring a lot of excitement, and I'm continuing bringing a lot of excitement to the sport. So I'm focused on that.
Let me ask you this too, Jose. When I'll never forget. Maybe it was after the weigh-in or the final press conference between you and Taylor. You went up to us and you said, you actually were kind of hurt in the eyes. You said, "I thought he was like me. I thought he was a gentleman." In a part two, is no more Mr. Nice Guy. Is that important?
That's it, man. No more Mr. Nice Guy. And I think, and it's funny, we talked about this with another interview right before you. They're like, what you learned from the fight? And I said, I was too nice in that fight. That was my biggest mistake in that fight. If you go back and watch that fight, the first 5 rounds, watch it on mute. You can see the body language. He was respecting me. He was going towards the ropes a lot more, and it was heading towards a very similar fight as the Hooker fight. Except the 6th round, I came in too overly aggressive. He landed a good counter punch. But it was a flash knockdown. I got up and I felt like, I got a little embarrassed, and I felt like, okay, what the hell just happened? And I shook it off and finished the round strong. Although, it's hard to come back and win the round after, it might be a 10-8 round. But it was a 7th round where I respected the referee after touching my elbow to make the clean break. And that was my biggest mistake, man. And those rounds after that, Taylor was never like, oh, let me all of a sudden jump on Jose. Like, he didn't. do that. You know, he just some of those rounds were still very, very close. Not that much going on, and some of those rounds was given to him just because it took me because of the body language. It took me a couple of rounds for me to get my legs underneath me, and then I finished the fight strong again. So like, it's one of those deals that it wasn't my night. And there's no excuses. There's no excuses. I learned to live with the fact that he was a better man that night. But it's one of those days that if it would have happened on a different day, it would have, and I could have won. It's just one of those things that it was unfortunate for me. That's all. But it doesn't make him a lot better fighter than me. Good, and anybody that knows boxing that would like to really see the fight, they just go watch it again, and you'll see what I'm saying. But that's it, man. You gotta let it go, let that one go, and just learn from it. Learn from it, and I would love to face him again for sure.